Night has fallen, and if you are hearing these words, perhaps your day has come to an end as well. The world outside is slowly growing quiet, the streets less noisy, the lights softer, and the pace of life finally begins to slow down. This may be one of the rare moments in the day when you no longer have to try, when you don't need to pretend you are okay, respond to anyone, or be strong one more time. All day long, you have carried too much within your heart, unspoken thoughts, worries that repeat themselves, responsibilities weighing heavily on your shoulders, and a weariness you may not even know how to name, only that it remains there, quiet and persistent. Tonight, you do not need to fix anything, solve every problem, or have answers for tomorrow. Tonight, you only need to be here, in this moment, in this silence. When the whole world seems to be sinking into darkness, remember this: with God, the night is not emptiness, but something sacred, the time when He draws closest, most gently and quietly. When people rest, God is still at work. When you no longer have the strength to keep trying, He does not leave. When you let go, He begins to uphold you. If your heart is weary, if your mind has not yet found peace, if you feel you have given too much and received too little in return, tonight you are allowed to lay everything down, to slow your breathing, and to be vulnerable without shame. Let tonight no longer be a place of anxiety, but a shelter for your soul, a stopping point where you no longer have to run, because right now, in this gentle stillness, God is here, not in a hurry, not with reproach, but as a loving presence, waiting for you to let go and rest. When night falls, many people think everything has paused, but with God, the night has never been emptiness. Night is the space He chooses to act, a quiet moment deep enough for the most hidden parts of a person to be touched. During the day, we are swept along by work, noise, responsibilities, and expectations. We learn how to hide our exhaustion, how to smile when our hearts are unsettled, how to keep going even when we are empty inside. But when night comes, those layers begin to fall away. No one is watching, no one is demanding, there is only you and the truth within your heart. And it is precisely in that fragile truth that God draws nearer. He does not come with loud sounds, pressure, or haste, but with a gentle presence, with understanding that needs no explanation, with love that has no conditions. There are things you cannot heal during the day, not because you are weak, but because the soul needs silence to be restored. Some wounds only open when no one else is watching, and the night is that place, the place where you no longer have to hold yourself together or pretend to be okay. While you rest, God quietly works, arranging what is tangled, touching the places of pain you have long endured, and beginning the work of restoration from the inside, little by little. So, if tonight you feel weaker, do not be afraid. This is not a sign of collapse, but a sign that you are in the right place, at the right time, to be healed. Let tonight become a sacred space for your soul, a place where you do not need to understand everything, only to trust that God is here, and that He has begun His work. Imagine your soul as a garden that has endured too many seasons of drought, with days when the ground is cracked, the leaves droop, and everything seems to stop growing, not because you did not try, not because you were lazy or lacking faith, but because storms passed through and left behind a weariness no one could see. By day, that garden stands under harsh sunlight, exposed to the gaze of others, the expectations of life, and the pressure to always appear fine, but night is different. When the sun sets, the garden is no longer exposed. It rests in gentle darkness, and it is there that life quietly begins again. In the deep hours of the night, while you sleep, the rain of God's presence falls softly, not loudly, not in torrents, but as quiet drops of grace soaking into dry ground. The deepest roots, the parts of you no one ever touches, begin to draw in life. Old pains are soothed, cracks are filled, and what once seemed dead is nourished again. You do not need to stand and watch the garden grow, or control every leaf and every shoot. Your work is simply to rest, and the rest God is doing even when you feel nothing, even when everything remains silent. Life is still unfolding beneath the surface, so if your soul feels dry, do not despair, for not all life begins in daylight. Some things only sprout in the night, and tonight, the garden of your soul is being watered by the loving hand of God. Perhaps the hardest thing for you is not a lack of strength, but not knowing when you are allowed to stop. We have grown used to holding ourselves together, trying to control everything, thinking ahead, worrying ahead, preparing for every possible outcome, having been taught that strength means not falling, pushing on even when there is nothing left, managing everything on our own. But tonight, let God whisper something different to you. Strength is not always measured by effort, and true strength sometimes begins with letting go. Letting go is not giving up, not failure. It is recognizing that some burdens were never meant to rest on your shoulders, that some worries you carry only because you think you must, that some responsibilities you strain under because you fear everything will collapse if you release them. The truth is that some things only begin to heal when you stop trying to control them. Tonight, you do not need to watch over everything, stay awake to prove your faith, or remain alert to be safe. God does not need you to stay awake for Him to work, nor does He ask you to be stronger than you are. He only asks for permission to be tired, to be weak, to be supported. Surrender is not losing control, it is placing it into the hands of the one who never sleeps. When you release what you cannot hold, God will hold what you cannot carry. So right now, let the tension in your body loosen, let your breathing slow, and let your heart stop straining. You are not fighting tonight. You are being cared for. And in this very quiet surrender, a new kind of strength is beginning to take shape. There is a promise in Scripture that has been whispered through generations, a promise not for those who are always strong, but for those who need shelter. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This is not merely about surviving or pushing through, but about true rest, even when questions remain, when circumstances have not changed, and when you do not yet understand what God is doing. To live under His shadow means you no longer have to shield yourself, protect your heart from every impact, or brace yourself against every worry of tomorrow. Like a child resting beneath a parent's arm, you do not need to know how everything will be handled. You only know that you are safe. Tonight, you are not simply lying down to sleep. You are entering a refuge, a place without judgment or demands, only the presence of the one who loves you completely. Whatever you face today, words that wounded you, situations that frightened you, worries you dared not share right now, you are under the shadow of the Almighty, a place where those things no longer hold the power you thought they did. Here you are covered, protected, and allowed to rest. And as you remain in this shelter, let your heart trust that nothing can reach you without first passing through God's hands. He is your refuge and your fortress, and in Him you are free to rest fully, without fear, without anxiety, without loneliness. There are works God does not choose to do in the noise of daytime, not because He cannot, but because the human soul needs quiet in order to be healed. When you sleep, you release control, you stop overthinking, stop managing outcomes, and it is then that God begins to touch the deepest places. While your body rests, His grace does not. When your eyes close, His hands are still at work, never rushed, never painful, but gentle, precise, and full of love. There are wounds you have learned to live with, pains you have endured, and exhaustion you accepted as normal. But God does not see them that way. He sees every aching place, hears every sigh, and in the night, when no one else is watching, He whispers healing. You do not need to feel it immediately or see a miracle before your eyes. You only need to trust that while you rest, He is working. God is not limited by your alertness. He does not need you awake to prove your faith. He needs you trusting enough to sleep. So if tonight you feel yourself drifting into rest, do not resist it. This is not loss of control, but faith being practiced. In the silence of the night, while people rest, God heals, and each slow breath you take is your quiet permission for Him to continue the work He has begun. Lord, in the stillness of this night, I bring my weary body before you, not with demands or confusion, but with simple trust that you understand me better than I understand myself. You see the pains I have tried to ignore, the tensions I have learned to endure, and the exhaustion that has accumulated day by day without my noticing. Tonight, I no longer avoid my body, I place it into your hands. Touch every part that has grown weak, every place that is overloaded, every area tightened by stress. Lord, touch my nervous system, which has been on constant alert, accustomed to anxiety and pressure. Pour your peace into it. Let every cell know that it is safe. Let my heartbeat slow, my breathing deepen, and my body release its tension. You are the one who formed humanity from dust. You know every tendon, every vessel, every smallest movement within me. Nothing in me is unfamiliar to you. Adjust what is disordered, soothe what is inflamed, and restore what has been worn down by stress and fatigue. I do not rush healing or demand a timeline for miracles. I simply open my heart and trust that while I rest, you are at work. Let healing come like night rain, gentle, quiet, yet deeply soaking in. And as I fall asleep, let my body be covered by your presence, resting fully and being restored little by little, in peace, trust, and your unfailing love. Lord, tonight I come to you not only with a tired body, but with a spirit that is worn down. Some exhaustion does not live in the muscles, but in the mind, repeating thoughts, lingering worries, unanswered questions that quietly drain me each day. There are moments when I smile, speak, and work as if everything is fine, while inside I am holding myself together, afraid of breaking. I have grown used to being strong, to self-soothing, to hiding how tired I truly am. Tonight, I no longer conceal this weariness. I bring it to you as it is. Touch my mind, where anxiety has taken up too much space, where unsettled memories return in silence. Speak your peace there, as you once spoke to the storm. Be still. Let your voice be louder than every fear. I do not need to understand everything now, or have answers for tomorrow. I only need to rest in your presence. Heal the emotional wounds time has not touched, the disappointments I never voiced, the hurts I learned to accept, and the pressures that made me feel I must always strive to be worthy. Remove the burdens I have carried too long, replace anxiety with trust, exhaustion with renewed strength, and fear with security in you. Tonight, I allow myself to stop striving, to let my mind rest. And in this quiet, gently restore my spirit, little by little, without haste or pressure. I trust that as I rest, you are healing, and that your peace, independent of circumstances, is covering me now. Lord, after speaking aloud my weariness, my worries, and the burdens I have carried so long, tonight I choose to lay them down, not because every problem has vanished, but because I no longer carry them alone. I release the weight of responsibility, the pressure to be right, and the fear that everything will collapse if I stop. Tonight, I hear you inviting me to place it all at your feet, what is beyond my strength, what I cannot control, what has drained me. I release these things with simple trust that you are stronger than I am. Remove the weight that does not belong to me, the pressure to always hold myself together, the voice that says I am not enough or unworthy of rest. In exchange, give me your strength, not a strength that drives me to run faster, but one that helps me stand more firmly, breathe more deeply, and trust more fully. Let weariness be replaced with peace, heaviness with lightness, and tension with quiet confidence. I do not need to prove anything to you, or achieve anything to be loved. I only need to be here, in your presence, allowing you to renew me from within. Tonight, as I release my burdens, I sense new strength arriving quietly, gently, yet enough to carry me into tomorrow with a supported heart. Right now, as everything has grown still, I invite you to speak these words quietly within yourself, not loudly or hurriedly, but truthfully tonight. I choose to believe not because I have all the answers, but because I am not walking alone. I declare that I am covered, under the shadow of the Most High, protected by His watchful care. I am not abandoned or forgotten, even when no one fully understands what I carry. God sees, knows, and is here. I declare that my body is being restored, even if I cannot yet feel it. Healing is happening quietly, deeply, little by little. I declare that my mind is being renewed, that anxious thoughts are settling, and worries are losing their power. I no longer agree with voices saying I am depleted, too late, or without hope. I agree with God's truth that new strength is given each day. Tonight, I sleep in peace not because everything is resolved, but because I am being held. I place my trust not in my own ability, but in God's faithfulness. While I sleep, He works. While I rest, He arranges. When I let go, He upholds. And so I allow myself to rest fully without fear, without anxiety, without needing to prove anything. Tonight, I belong to peace, to healing, and to God. Before closing this day, I invite you into a very personal moment, not a complex ritual, but a small, meaningful act. If there is a place in your body that feels tired or sore, gently place your hand there and quietly say, "I receive God's healing." Leave your hand there for a moment, feeling the warmth, noticing your breath, and allowing your body to know it no longer needs to tense. Then, if there is a thought troubling your mind, a recurring worry or a heavy memory, take a moment to write it down, whether in a notebook or on your phone. You do not need to analyze or solve it now. Simply name it and lay it down. Finally, before resting, write one thing you are grateful for today, however small. Perhaps that you made it through the day, that you are here listening, or that hope still remains. Gratitude does not erase hardship, but it gently opens the door for peace. If tonight you feel comforted, or are trusting in healing, you do not need many words. You may simply write, "Please pray for me," or "I believe God is restoring me." These words are not only for you, they may be light for someone else reading in silence. Now, as this day truly comes to a close, I invite you to let yourself rest completely. No more thinking, no more striving, only rest. May the peace of God cover you tonight, covering your weary body, your quieted mind, and your soul learning to trust again. May your sleep be deep, undisturbed by anxiety or fear, guarded by His gentle presence. If there is anything in you not yet healed, may God continue to touch it as you rest. If there is anything you do not understand, may He hold you in peace beyond understanding. Tonight, you do not sleep alone. You are being watched over, sheltered, and loved. As you drift into sleep, let your breathing slow, your heartbeat settle, and your soul rest in safety. And when you wake, at whatever hour, may you know clearly that you have been rested, renewed, and kept through the night. Wishing you a peaceful night. Sleep well in God's love, and let Him continue the good work He has begun in you. Amen.